Hi, I'm Rocco Staino, and welcome to KidLit TV and Publisher Spotlight Preview. Yes, with Ellen Myrick. Hey, welcome, Ellen.
Thank
we
you,
have
Rocco.
a different type of preview today.
Yeah, we're doing a spotlight on graphic novels today.
So just graphic novels.
We're all about sequential art.
Yes.
And we're just going to have a good time digging in deep and learning about some new publishers and some great new books that are coming down the pike in just the next few months.
Yeah. So, why just graphic novels today?
Well, that's an interesting question. It's because we're here to talk, because Diamond is our sponsor.
Yes.
And Diamond is one of the world's largest distributors of graphic novels.
And it's also a way for people to become more familiar with this art form.
It is a way, although graphic novels are having a moment. I mean,
They
surely
are.
you've noticed.
Right.
Everybody loves graphic novels, and everybody's talking about them, and kids love them too, and they read them. And that's the best way to get a kid reading. If they're reading resistant, then put a graphic novel in front of them and see what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And so Diamond represents many different publishers of graphic novels.
Yes, they do,
right?
and we're going to talk about several of them today.
So let's get started.
Yeah, let's get started.
And now I just caught my hand, and the audio people are going, "Oh no!"
So don't do that anymore, Rocco.
I won't do that anymore.
I mean, yes,
sorry, audio people.
Clap your
Yes.
hands far away from your microphone.
Right, exactly.
So let's start off with Witchy, which is from Lion Forge. And Witchy is by Ariel Rees. And this is one of those graphic novels, and there are a lot of them, that started life as a web comic. So they get this big audience, and people follow them. They write them online, they post them, and then everyone wants to follow and see what happens next. And they get this big following, and then at some point they gather them up and make them into a beautiful book. And Witchy is a really interesting story. We've got a lot of stories about strong female protagonists
We
today.
do. Yes, there are
Yeah.
many strong women
So-
that you'll be introduced to today.
Right. So if you don't like girl power, then turn it off. But if you are somebody who enjoys a good, strong girl who's discovering her power, then this is the show for you. So that'll be great.
I think after this, we should take all these books and go down to Wall Street and stand by that girl statue.
Oh yeah, the
yes.
Mighty Girl statue.
Mighty Girl statue.
For sure,
right,
we
yes.
should. By the way, we should probably mention before we get too far into this that if the people comment and sign up for the newsletter, then they could win all the books we're talking about, plus some other things that we'll tell you about later.
Right, yes,
So-
and the reason they have to sign up for the newsletter is that's the way we know, if you win, we know who you are and where to send this prize of all these books.
Because it'd be very sad if you win and then we have no way to contact you, which is what would happen if you just
Right.
comment and go away. So anyway, let's get started with Witchy, because I love this book.
Yes.
So this is from Lion Forge, from the Roar imprint, which means it's for that upper elementary, middle grade space. And this is about a girl named Neve, and she lives in this country, in this world called Highland, where they have magical powers, and they're witches, but their power is determined by the length of their hair. Sorry, Rocco, I don't think this would be a very powerful place for you to hang out.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
No, well.
Anyway, Nynaeve's father had really, really, really long hair, and at the very beginning of the book, spoiler alert, he is taken away because witches who are too powerful get burned. So it does start on this tragic note, but Nynaeve has a way to she does a glamour curse. I love the idea of a glamour curse to actually hide how long her hair is and how powerful she is. So that when the people who come to the school to find out who the best witches are, to conscript them into the guard, so that she won't get picked for that. But they figure it out. So what does she do? What would you do if you were going to be forced to become a guard in the kind of political outfit that destroyed your father? You would cut off your hair, wouldn't you? Yeah. So she cuts off her hair in this just desperate act and then runs away. And this is a story of where she runs to, and she finds allies and wakes up alone in the forest. But isn't the art just gorgeous?
It is beautiful, vivid.
And then she does find her allies, and she finds a place to be at peace with who she is herself, but also to find her power. And maybe it isn't all in the hair. Just saying. Maybe it's not just in the hair.
Well, that's encouraging for me.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there you go. Yes, so this is Witchy from Lion Forge, from the Roar imprint, and I hope you will check this out.
Yes. Well, I have a book that features very strong women and also incorporates science. And it's from Bedside Press, and it's by Ashley Victoria Robinson and Jason Inman. And so science, the elements of dark energy, yes. So these, our main character, whose name is
Tamsin,
yes, Tamsin, who's 14 years old. Her father was involved in the school, and with the head of the school.
Yeah.
But he is dead, or is he? I'm not sure. But he does make an appearance as a hologram.
Several.
Yes,
Yeah,
as a hologram. Yes, and so. There is a way that these girls become very powerful, but having all this power also is very destructive. And so Tamsin has to find a way to save her friends. And so it's very interesting. But there's not only very strong girls in this book, but there's also, in many of these books, there are robots.
Yes.
And so our robots here, they're called STAT. STAT there's a little side panels that discuss information. So they talk about a shelter or a safe room or an escape room. And they tell us some history about safe rooms. They go all the way to the Middle Ages. And I guess you have shelters out your way, don't you?
We do, but they're usually for tornadoes down in the south.
Right.
Yeah.
And I loved in this one right here, this character here, when she's using, she's in the middle of a fight here, says, "Science for the win." Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yes. And so this is has very strong female characters, and it gives a nod to women.
And it's kind of a murder mystery, too, at the same time, with a science element thrown in.
Yeah, a lot of science.
Yes.
Lots of science.
And Bedside Press is the publisher of this.
Tell me about Bedside Press.
I love Bedside Press. So this is a publisher out of Canada. And the cool thing about them, it was started by Hope Nicholson, who, if you love geeky graphic novels, then you know her, because she is the author of Geeks Love. I have to make sure I got it right, because Secret Loves of Geeks. Secret Loves of Geeks. So that was published by Dark Horse. And she started the publishing company and just is doing amazing things. So check out, if you like the idea of science, then check out some of her other books too. Window Horses is another one, which is really wonderful. So there's a lot to discover at Bedside Press. Things you will want on your bedside. So let's move on to our next thing, because we're talking about bedside, nighttime, stars. So it seems like a very natural transition to talk about Ophiuchus, which is from Image Books. So Ophiuchus is a constellation. I learned this recently.
It's a real constellation.
It's a real constellation.
A real constellation.
A real constellation that is shaped like a serpent, that is like at the equator of the universe. It's a constellation. So anyway, this is a story about a guard who is standing sentry over a gate that has not seen any action in a very, very long time. But that is her job, is to keep people out. Doesn't know what for, but that is her job. So she's got this serpent wheel, this huge, you can see this gigantic weapon, which is how she can defend the gate. But somebody gets through, and they infect her with the virus. So right after this happens, then she is forced to kind of confront the fact that she did let somebody through, and these two machines show up. And they tell her that she is the one who can save the universe. They take her to the deep heart, where there is this malignant being that wants to rot the universe, rot all the worlds. So it is up to Ophiuchus and her robot machine friends. They say machine, but they are kind of robots.
Right.
That's up to them to save the world. And as many of the books that we have here, there is amazing back matter. So Science had it, Witchy had it, but I just want to show you a few of the things in here, because it's just really character studies. Let's get to that. This is extras. So you can see here some of the different ideas for the way the characters were drawn.
Right.
and giving you a chance to see that. And then I want to show you, because the palette
Yes.
in this is so interesting, and I want to show you some information
color
about
palette,
that. The
right?
color palette, yeah, because there's a lot of pinks and oranges, but they're not all the same, and blues
Art
and purples.
teachers, take note, art teachers, right
Yeah,
there. Right.
Talk about how color communicates emotion and character and all that kind of stuff. So this is in a fucus, and it's super, super cool. It's from Image Publishing, which is a really awesome publisher. And you know what? I think I'll let you tell people a little bit more about Image.
Okay.
And that'll lead the way to our special guest.
Oh, our special guest. Well, Image Comics is creator owned, and it some of the titles that you may be familiar with is A Saga and Walking Dead and Camp Midnight. And today we have our friend Jason Adam Katzenstein.
Yeah.
Katzenstein, I got it right. Yeah, thank you for being here. Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, who created the images in Camp Midnight, and there is another sequel coming out. So, but before we talk about the sequel, tell us about Camp Midnight.
Okay. Camp Midnight is a horror comedy book.
Horror, yes.
Horror and comedy, two great genres that are great together. It's about Sky, a young girl whose parents put her on the wrong bus to summer camp, and she ends up at a camp where everybody else is a monster.
Oh. Well, yeah, having gone to camp, sometimes you can feel that you have fellow campers are monsters, right?
Oh, indeed.
Yes,
and
yes.
in fact, it's a pretty awkward social situation for her. Because on the one hand, she's terrified because they're monsters. Are they going to eat me? Am I going to be okay? But also, she wants to fit in. So she lies and says she's the biggest monster of them all.
Right. Yes. And well, before we talk about the sequel, so it's Jason Adam. So why the Adam?
Great question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started using my middle name when I started making New Yorker cartoons because you put your signature next to the cartoons, and Jason Katzenstein is way too big. It would take up half the cartoon. So I was trying to come up with a different way to sign. And at first I thought JK, Jason Katzenstein. But JK also is just kidding. And so if I had the cartoon up there and then the little JK, and it would be like, just kidding, and everybody would be like, we know you're doing a joke. So I put the A in the middle, so it's J-A-K. Now sometimes people think my name is Jack.
Right. And so a New Yorker cartoonist and a comic creator. Yes. So, and I know you're a New Yorker cartoonist. One of my favorite cartoons is Where's Waldo in 5 years?
Oh, thank you.
But so are there other cartoonists at the New Yorker that are comic creators?
Yeah, there are. My friend Marisa made a book called Antenna. My friend Sophia Warren makes comics in addition to doing New Yorker cartoons. There are more. There are so many more. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting you, all my friends.
So when you're on, when you see someone at the airport or on public transportation with their New Yorker, reading their New Yorker and kind of chuckling at the cartoons, saying, but maybe I should try a graphic novel. Yes, so the sequel is Camp Midnight versus Camp Daybreak.
Camp Daybreak.
Yes.
Versus Camp Daybreak.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we had the camp that was filled with monsters. So our main character, Sky, has some changes in her life. And how does she end up going to a different camp?
Okay, well, I'm glad you asked. We can do some mild spoilers for the first book because it's been out for a few years, but still, please read it before reading the second one. But Sky's arc in the first book is learning to be able to accept herself and also accept difference. And even though she really despises Camp Midnight at the beginning, she learns to really love it. The sequel starts the summer after, and she's all ready to go back to Camp Midnight. It was the wrong bus last year, it's the right bus this year. But wouldn't you know it, her family puts her on the bus she should have gone on last year, and she ends up at Camp Daybright. And so she's back to square one, disliking her camp.
And it's not a spoiler either, but there was, I kind of chuckled when I read why they, the bottom line of why she's going to the new camp was because she got free tuition to go to the camp because of the mix-up from the year before. Mm-hmm. Yes, and so Skye has her family is in transition in the sense that her parents are divorced, mm-hmm. and she in Camp Midnight had a stepmother that wasn't very endearing, I would say, right? But now she has a new stepmother, a second stepmother, and her mom and her stepmom kind of get along. They kind of are friends, you know. And so her new stepmom is a black woman, mm-hmm. and so when you were, but it's not in any of the text. You know, it's not discussed. But so when you were creating that character, did you create the character, or did you and Steve Siegel, who is the person who wrote the book, you did the images, is that something you two discussed?
The character designs are something we discussed. I mean, I like what you said about thinking about things that are visual versus what is explicit in the text.
Right.
Because I think we both looked at the first book that we made, and Steve's story is really a story about feeling different or like you don't fit in, and then learning to love yourself exactly for your differences and to celebrate them. But we look back at that book and we were like, too many of the main characters are white and cisgendered and straight. And it was important to us, if we did a sequel, to explicitly tell a story that looks more like the real world, you know,
right.
where I just think that sometimes as a designer, and maybe it's like a default setting, just as a white guy, I'll start designing a character, and if I'm thoughtless about it, I won't think of the character's race, but then it'll default to whiteness, and we really did not want to do that. We wanted to tell a story that looked more like the world. So there are queer characters mm-hmm. in this book. There are characters of color in this book, and they're main characters. And also what makes people different in terms of sexuality mm-hmm. and race is something to be explored and celebrated.
Before we talk about the new camp, did you go to camp as a child?
I went to art camp.
You went to art camp?
I went to art camp, yeah.
So it was a sleepaway camp?
It was. I studied painting. Mm-hmm. It was on the Cal Arts campus. I'm from Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. I was a really shy kid in school. I didn't really speak up a lot, but this was actually, art camp was really the first place where I got to feel a little bit more cool and mm-hmm. and confident. I thought, like, yeah, I like comics. Other people like comics here too, and everybody was really excited about the work that they were making. And it did feel like this breath of fresh air in this place where I could be myself. And Steve didn't know that when he came up with this idea, but that was definitely something that I brought to the book when I was thinking about how does Skye feel, and what does this camp look like, and what does it feel like to be among people who you might be afraid of, but who turned out to be your best friends.
Right, and Skye had a good friend in the first book, and she has a new good friend in the new book, and her name's Leaf. Mm-hmm. And so tell us a little bit about Leaf.
So Leaf is younger than Skye, mm-hmm. but only by 1 year. But Skye really takes it upon herself to kind of try and show Leaf the mm-hmm. ropes. Even though in a lot of ways Leaf is more mature than Skye. Mm-hmm. Leaf is not non-binary and goes by they, them pronouns. Mm-hmm. Leaf is a kid, but also like pretty confident with themselves, while also being a little anxious about the world. If that contradiction makes sense, it's something that I feel a lot.
Right.
And so when they get to Camp Daybright, which is this place that's a little more like open up about your feelings, talk through things, share. Leaf is like, I am down. This is my place. And Sky is really having trouble adjusting. But at the same time, Sky is like, all right, Leaf, let me show you how it's done. And Leaf is like, I think this is how it's done. And I really love them. Like, I really love this character who can be really optimistic and sunny, but that's not played for laughs. It's like Leaf is often right to be optimistic and to be sunny.
And you told me earlier that you were going to draw Leaf for us.
Yeah. I'm really excited to be on this live stream, and I teach art.
Do you?
I do.
On top of everything.
On top of everything, yeah. It's really nice because I draw alone in my room, but teaching art is a thing that I can do
So
that's
where
interactive.
do you, when you teach art, where do you teach it?
Well, I taught a comics class at Wesleyan University called Writing and Drawing Comics, but I also teach at after-school art programs every once in a while.
Like in public schools? Oh, really? Oh, lucky kids. Yes.
Lucky me, really, because I'm always impressed by kids. So I'm really excited about this opportunity to do just like a little demonstration step by step. And you can rewind this too, right? So people can...
yes. So the live stream will be archived so that after, if you want to go back and follow along, you can actually replay this segment. And we'll tell you more later. We'll tell them the surprise later.
Okay,
yes.
Great. Is this this is a good angle? I used to love doing these. I got Nickelodeon magazine, and it would have tutorials. So if you love Leaf, the marker might be running out a little bit. Oh, nope, here we go. We're going to start with 2 circles. Sometimes the circles touch, sometimes they don't. These are going to be glasses. Now do a little upside down U shape. So many circles here, right? We're going to do 5 circles up here. I'll give you a hint. This is going to be hair. We're going to give a little nose, cute little smile, some freckles. They've got freckles. Some big circular eyes. Some upturned eyebrows, like, huh. And then we color in the hair. So if you're watching at home, this is how you make Leaf. It's mostly circles. You can chant that to yourself while you're drawing. It's mostly circles. Mostly circles. And then this last part you can do, as long as you color in the lines, maybe you're like watching TV or talking to your friend. I find this to be very meditative. Things like coloring things in. But this is Leaf, my new favorite character. You can catch them in Camp Midnight versus Camp Daybright. Am I doing good promo? I'm trying to be a good promoter.
Yes, you're doing, yes. Yes.
There they are.
Steve, is he doing a good job? If you're watching, you can comment. Yes. Yeah. And, okay. So there is Leaf, and we had mentioned that. I think Ellen had mentioned that if you comment and sign up for the KidLit TV newsletter, you have an opportunity to win all the books we're discussing today. And in addition, there is some artwork, including.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
I'm drawing some of the other characters.
So
there's Sky.
There's
our hero.
Sky. Oh, I love that.
Thanks for letting me draw these while I was waiting in the wings for the interview.
Oh, this is terrific.
Here's Mia. Here's Griffin, a werewolf boy who appears in both books.
Oh.
Here's Rocco as a vampire.
I love it. Well, this is not going out because this is going into my collection. Yes, I love it.
What else we got? Oh, I did just one more of Leaf. I just like drawing Leaf. Here's another Sky. Ah!
Yeah.
that's it.
Yes, so this book is coming out in early October.
October the 9th.
October the 9th, yes. And you have this Camp Midnight t-shirt. And just quick, just turn around. I just want to show you, spin around. And it's Camp Midnight. I mean, staff.
Yeah, we'll be selling these too.
Well, yes. And if you're in the New York metropolitan area, the New York Comic-Con is coming up.
Yes.
And you're going to be there, right?
I'm going to be there, and New York Comic-Con is October, I think I'll be there starting October 3rd, and we will have some advanced copies
Okay.
of Camp Midnight versus Camp Daybright at the con, so you can get them before everybody else.
Well, I am going to be there, so I'm going to go over to the Image Comics booth and look for you. But it is, if you've never been to Comic-Con, it is, I guess a good word is wild. But anyway, and crowded, and it's very crowded. And I got my pass today in the mail. I was very excited. And but thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
This was so much fun. And thank you for the portrait of Rocco as a vampire. And so I will look for you at Comic-Con. So thank you again for joining me.
Thank you so much. I'll see you at Comic-Con.
Yes, thank you. Well, that was fun. And welcome back, Ellen.
Hey, look what I scored.
Well, all I have to say is, he did not do a picture of you.
It's okay.
It's okay?
I'm at peace with that.
Oh, you're at peace with that.
But I am looking forward to a staff shirt.
Look at
Yeah.
it's so nice and soft. This is so soft.
You squeeze the Charmin too.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is so nice.
So we're going to include this shirt in the book bundle.
We are.
Yes, so comment below, sign up for the newsletter for KidLit TV, and you could win all these books plus some original art from Jason Adam Katzenstein.
Adam, yes.
And
Katzenstein,
a Camp Midnight staff shirt. So, I mean, how much fun is that?
Yes,
So
terrific.
much fun. So, yeah, so please comment
that
below.
was fun. And we still have more books.
We do have more books. So let's talk about, sometimes people go to camp.
Yes.
Sometimes during the summer they go to the ocean, right? So
Okay.
you might see Seafoam. How is that for a transition?
That is a great transition. Yes.
Thank you so much. So this is Seafoam, and this is from Action Lab. With Action Lab, if I say Action Lab, what do you think that's
A
going to be?
laboratory where lots of activity is going on. And,
Yeah, you're wrong.
what do you mean I'm wrong? I'm never wrong.
Well, in this case you are, because Action Lab actually refers to this incredibly cute little Labrador, which is in their logo. And he evidently is very busy all the time.
Okay, so the Action
Lab, yeah, you get it. This is from Action Lab, and they are very good at that elementary, early middle school kinds of graphic novels. In this case, this is about Madison, and Madison is kind of a lonely child until she meets a narwhal. So the narwhal has magical, mystical powers.
Those narwhals.
I know narwhals, right? Narwhals are having a moment.
They are.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, narwhals are all that. So she goes to this island, this beach, and she makes a new friend. His name is Blue, and they run into a hypnoctopus. I have to be careful how I say that. It's an octopus that evidently has hypnotic powers, as evidently this particular octopus does. So they have to have all these adventures and battles, and at the same time she's making friends, and then she discovers, her own power. So again, this is another girl power story. But this is just super fun, and it's from Seafoam, and also, as often happens, there is information in the back. So if you wanted to be a graphic novel creator yourself, you could learn how to do that. And there's concept art, so you can see how the creators came together and made this. And yeah, so lots of great information. And this is from Action Lab, and I think you have some Action Lab as well.
I have another Action Lab, yes. Yeah. And I have Big Alien Moon Crush, and I guess the cover picture is on the screen now. And so we're not holding anything up, but this is a wordless. This is by Art Balthazar.
Yeah.
Yes, an Eisner winner, right? And
many times over.
Many times over, and it is alien planets at war. It's wordless. And so the planets are at war, right?
Yeah.
Aliens are at war,
Yeah.
right? And of course, there's a girl and a boy. There's, yes. Their fathers are the people at war. Yes.
Oh, really? They don't get along?
They don't get along.
This seems like a familiar plot.
It does, doesn't it?
But
one could
nonetheless
say,
relevant.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a wordless tale of love with a little bit of Romeo and Juliet. Mixed together. So it's very good for younger readers. Well, it's wordless for younger readers, and we have another book by
Early crush fiction there.
Oh yes,
yes.
Crush. I was wondering when we were going to get this.
Oh,
so,
crush
so
fiction.
Ellen and I, really Ellen, not me.
No, I'm sure it's been said before.
Well, we really didn't research this, but yes, is there such a genre as crush fiction? If not, we've just coined it. So when they do the research, years from
and
now.
Big Alien Moon Crush is at the
Moon
top
Crush,
of the list.
that's it. Crush
fiction.
Yes, we'll make that list.
Yeah, and Art Baltazar, as you said, has won many Eisners, and some of the ones you may be familiar with are Teeny Titans, and my personal favorite, Itty Bitty Hellboy.
Say that again?
Itty Bitty Hellboy.
I think it's
Yeah.
Itty Bitty Hellboy.
Okay. Well, you say Hellboy the way you want to say Hellboy, and I'll say Hellboy the way I want to say it.
Yeah.
You put itty bitty in front of it. But anyway, that amongst lots of other things, he's done several things with DC. But one of the new things he's got coming out is Powers in Action. And you know how established authors often will bring out the things they did when they were younger. Jane Austen, Love and Friendship was brought out as a book. Well, this is his version of that. This is his juvenilia, and he created it when he was 17 years old. So he created his own universe and his own superheroes and the Hero Squadron and Lynx and Ocelot, who are kind of cat superheroes who defeat the bad guys, the supervillains. In this case, one of them is named Eclipse. Isn't that a great name for a supervillain? Eclipse. I don't want to come up against Eclipse. I just know that's a thing. So that is Powers in Action, and I think you can see the cover right here. But take a look at it. Take a look for it. If you're on NetGalley, maybe it's there. So Powers in Action, more from Art Baltazar and more from Action Lab.
And I have a name that will be familiar. So you young readers, if you read this book, which we hope you do,
yes.
You can, next time you visit your grandparents, you could say, "Hey, Grandma, Grandpa, do you remember reading Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys when you were young?" And most likely they'll say, "Yes, I read it. I have a copy upstairs if you'd like."
Nancy drove up in a roadster.
That's right. Yeah. Yes. Well, this is a kind of, I would say, sort of a reimagined Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. And it is by Scott Bryan Wilson and Bob Solanowitz.
Sure.
Yeah, yes. And but things are different with the Hardy Boys and Nancy. Yes. So let's see. Life. Of course, the title. It's not Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, but all these books always started with The Case.
That's right.
Yes. So this is
The
Case of the Missing Adults, which I know many of our young viewers would say, "What's so bad about that? That's a mystery we don't have to solve." But that's something that Nancy and the Hardy Boys take on, but there's kind of a foreshadowing here in the beginning, and so it's not a spoiler. We have the gym teacher over here, and they keep advertising this science fair that the two competing high schools have. But you asked me earlier ago, well, is it like the old books? Well, there's a lot of changes. Now, for example, just catch right here Joe Hardy's hair. And I should say, there's a crush in this book too.
Crush fiction.
Yes, there's a part. Yes, there's some crushes here, and And when you just look, and there's a lot of science, because there is a science fair happening, and just this is not your Nancy Drew High School if you look there. So this is a mystery and detective mystery, and it's a kind of a throwback and a look to the future and a throwback type of book. So yes, that was fun.
That's happening a lot.
Yes.
People are taking those old properties and bringing them up. I mean, think about Riverdale and Archie. So
That's true.
so
Yes,
here we got
there
Nancy
go.
Drew
Yes.
being updated for today's world.
And it's by Dynamite.
By Dynamite Publishing, who also did Earth. Earth is so charming, and this is by Garth Ennis, who is another person who has won so many Eisner Awards. You just have no idea how many there are. I bet he can't even keep them all on his mantle. It's probably too crowded. So this is a wonderful story. Early, I'm just going to do a little bit of a story time. Long time ago, the world was a very different place, because the continents that we know were all joined up or split apart, and the countries that we know hadn't even been heard of yet. You're thinking, this is really interesting in a children's book, but you know, it is. And there were all these different creatures living in the ocean. And among all the folk who lived in the sea were 4 friends: Fig Willip, the Booper, Quaw. See, it's spelled like, so you have to say it that way. And Earth. And this is Earth down at the bottom. So they're good friends, and they have gills, but they also have lungs. And one day they poke their head up out of the water, and what did they discover? Except that they can, oops, let's get there.
Yep, they can.
They can breathe.
Right.
Oh my goodness. So they get up and they breathe, but they discover something very scary. I can see, says Earth, and he saw Colossus. So they can also see that other creatures can breathe as well. Now Colossus is hungry, and Earth and his friends have to negotiate a way to not be eaten immediately. So they decide, they talk to him and said, how about if you eat somebody tomorrow? And Earth thinks about this all night long, and he knows what he has to do. So Earth, spoiler alert, gives himself up to be eaten by the Colossus. Oh. And when his friends wake up in the morning, they discover that Earth is gone, and they realize what he has done. And they're so sad that this is what has happened. It's all our fault because we made Earth think we didn't need him. It's all our fault, they say, and then they understood that Earth did have a talent. He was very brave. And now they had this wonderful world, but their friend wasn't there to enjoy it. So what are they going to do? Then we must never forget dear Earth, said Fig Wallop, and they made a promise there and then. And we must always be true to each other, said the Booper, so that his bravery wasn't in vain. And to honor him forevermore, said Quaw, we shall name our new world after our friend. And that is how we got Earth.
Oh.
Aw, so that is Earth from Dynamite. Oh, don't
that
cry.
was a sad one.
I'm sorry, it's okay. I mean, the world is named for him, so, you know,
Right.
there you go. So back to you, sir.
Our next one is another group of strong women, as we mentioned earlier, and robots. And this one is Robots versus Princesses.
Who's going to win?
You'll have to read the book to find out. And, you know, towards the, one of my favorite robot insults is in this
do
book.
tell.
Yes, yeah.
Or are you just going to tease us
No.
with that?
Yeah, how do you, if you really want to annoy a robot?
How
Yeah,
do
you call them an overgrown toaster.
Okay.
Yes, and that's just one of the confrontations here in the book.
Okay.
But that's in the back. But we have 4 princesses, and our main character is Princess Zara, and her mom tells her. What does her mom tell her? Her mom, right up in this panel right here, says, "My point is, you will never win a prince without an animal or a song." So poor Princess Zara has to get an animal or a song. So she goes out to find a baby dragon, because she figured it's much easier to have a baby dragon
They're
than
cuter,
than
too.
a full-grown dragon. And look at these great colors and
art is
images.
gorgeous.
Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful. And so she goes out, and here she is in the woods, and she's a redhead. Yes, yes. But she does have a song, and here on KidLit TV, debuting on KidLit TV, is Ellen's going to sing the song that
Improvise.
and you did a very good in rehearsal.
Can I fly with dragons? Can I touch the warm blue sky? Can I brush the tops of trees or kiss a mountain's breeze when I close my eyes? Or something like that. I don't know.
That was terrific. Yes, and I just wonder if Dynamite actually has an audio recording. If you're looking for someone to record the musical part of it, we have Ellen right here. So that was the robot versus the princesses. Yes.
Okay, and now we have one more book that I'm very excited to show you, and this is Breath of Flowers. Now this is from Tokyo Pop, and people may know Tokyo Pop because Tokyo Pop started the whole manga craze here in the United States many decades ago, but they're still around and they're still doing some great manga, and this is part of their International Women of Manga series. So they're finding these talented women all over the world and giving them a place to publish their stories. Breath of Flowers is very LGBTQ friendly. It's a story of Azari, as you can see here, and she's got a crush, because we're talking about crush fiction today.
Yes, we are.
She's got a crush on Gwen. Gwen plays basketball and is just so amazing, and she's just completely fascinated, and she starts to tell Gwen of her love, and discovers Gwen is not a boy, as she thought, but Gwen is actually a girl. So they have to kind of navigate this, because not everybody in the school, well, really only the school nurse, knows that Gwen is a girl. So they have to figure this out, and they work through it, and it's just, the art is beautiful and evocative and moving, and at the end, because it does read backwards, you get all this great other information about the series, and I cannot find it right now, so let's just show you how some of the interior the pages. This is the moment of truth. So they find a way to be together, and it's just a beautiful love story. And of course, in true manga fashion, it does read right to left and starts in what we would think of as the back of the book and go from here. So now, isn't that gorgeous? Look at this art, just fantastic. So blooming, charming, talking over, shifting, all the stages of a relationship, told from Azari and Gwen's perspective. Oh, there we go. We discovered that Gwen is a girl and that they're in love. They have to kind of figure it out. So beautiful story of discovery and new love. And that is from Tokyo Pop. So check out the International Women of Manga. It's right here.
Right.
And here's some more information about it. And also, I hope you've commented below, and I hope you've signed up for the newsletter.
And a few other things before we say goodbye.
Okay.
Now,
yeah.
this week is a banned book week,
Oh, it
which
is.
is Freedom to Read.
That's right.
Yes, and so it was interesting. Many of these books in another time may have been banned in certain places, but I am so glad that many of these topics are being addressed in these books. So in a way, we're celebrating Banned Book Week by sharing these books.
And unfortunately, graphic novels have often been, comics and graphic novels have been the targets.
Right.
That's why they started the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. So
I forgot the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund.
Yeah, so it's another reason to really celebrate and buy and read and check them out from your libraries, all these books.
Right, and the other thing, you were mentioning about commenting to win all these books when they're ready.
And the
because
t-shirt.
yes, and the other thing, and some of the artwork.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and the T-shirt. Yes, I want one of those T-shirts too. And I forgot when Jason was here. forgot to ask what his social media tags are, but he's still here. So what are yours? Come back here and tell everybody what your social media tags are. And you've been busy. You've been
I've
busy.
been drawing.
You've
I've
been
been drawing
busy.
off
I've
the
been
side.
watching Jason off the side drawing. So what have you been drawing there?
Oh, well, okay. So here's some more characters.
Oh, there you
fun.
go.
Oh,
I
I
love
love
it.
That's not me.
No. No,
Not
this
a Black
is
Widow spider.
this is Cynthia, Sky's biggest bully.
Oh.
And how about I'll put my handles on this one too.
Okay.
So, on Instagram, I'm at J period A period A period, and then there's an underscore, which is very important.
Right.
It's very minimalist.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the only tag you really need. That's where
Right.
I
Yeah.
post my art, and I'll be
Right.
posting more stuff about Camp Midnight versus Camp Daybreak.
Yes, well,
Cool.
thank you. Yes.
Well, thank you so much
that's
for having me.
Yes, yes, that's J period, A period, K period, underscore.
Underscore.
Yes.
Very
Yeah,
important.
Yes, well, I know I am going to be following.
And thanks
Yes.
to Diamond, too, for sponsoring this.
Yes,
this
this
has been
was
so much fun.
great, yes.
Yeah. And sign up for Diamond Bookshelf while you're signing up for KidLit
Okay.
newsletter. So you
So
can
how
do
do
that.
so how does one do that?
Oh, Google Diamond
Okay.
Bookshelf and you'll get there.
Okay, so you people are going to be very busy. You have to follow Jason. You have to sign up for Diamond Bookshelf.
Yes.
And you have to comment to win all of these things.
Yeah.
So, yes. So, thank you, Ellen, as always, for
Thank you,
being
Rocco.
here. And look, pick up all these books
Yes.
and share them and read them. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Enjoy.